Hello everyone. This time I would like to show you some places that you should never go or are off-limits areas due to various reasons. To make sure you don't miss any videos, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell button to get notified of the next video. The first off-limits area is the Space Research Facility Pine Gap. Pine Gap is a U.S. military base in Australia that is jointly operated by Australia and the United States. This base is publicized to the general public as a satellite surveillance base, but in reality it is a facility built for the CIA and NSA to conduct intelligence activities. This facility gathers information on missile defense and military weapons from other countries, and receives signals and information on weapon operations by satellite, making it the largest and most important military facility owned by the United States. During wartime, the facility was used for spying to steal information from enemy countries, but since the end of the Cold War and up to the present, it seems that the information is used to check the existence of international military attacks, and to prevent unprecedented situations. Furthermore, this facility is also said to be a place where UFO sightings continue to occur. And there are rumors that the base may be in some kind of contact with extraterrestrial life, such as UFOs seen entering the base's gates. However, there are also rumors that they may actually be secretly developing a new type of flying object, not a UFO. Naturally, the area is heavily guarded, and it has become famous as a no-go zone, where photography is prohibited. Incidentally, those who have attempted to break into the base or hack into the system have been arrested one after another. The second is North Sentinel Island, where arrows rain down. As many of you know, this island is located in the Bay of Bengal in the eastern Indian Ocean. The island is too dangerous to even land on. The reason the island is considered dangerous is that it is home to a dangerous indigenous tribe called the Sentinelese, who will attack anyone who approaches the island with arrows. They are said to live with an estimated 50 to 400 people, but the actual number is not known. They have been called the most isolated people on Earth and have had almost no contact with outsiders to date. They are unusually reluctant to have contact with the outside world, and almost everyone who has attempted contact in the past has been killed. A Christian missionary who tried to make contact with the Sentinelese the first time was shot with an arrow by armed Sentinelese, after landing and fled back. But he was not ready to give up and went ashore again, only to be attacked and killed by the Sentinelese. Two other people who drifted to North Sentinel Island were also killed by the natives. Later, an attempt was made to retrieve their bodies by helicopter, but the natives fired many arrows at the helicopter as it approached the island, so the recovery of the bodies was unsuccessful. In the past, the Indian government had decided to conduct a present operation to try to make contact with the Sentinelese people, and friendly contact had been successful. First, the Indian government approached the Sentinelese by boat, gave them coconuts and other gifts, and then left. Then, in 1991, the natives showed up on the beach, unarmed, to welcome the ship. The operation was a great success, and they began to interact with the natives, but along the way, an infectious disease broke out among the Sentinelese. The infection caused a catastrophe on the island, and the finally successful exchange operation with the natives was cancelled. Since then, they have refused to have contact with outsiders and have started to rain arrows at anyone who tries to land or even approaches the island. Now, entry to the island is restricted by the Indian government, so if you do approach the island, you will either be killed by the natives or arrested. Third, I would like to introduce you to Brazil's Ilha de Queimada Grande, which is considered dangerous because of the dangerous creatures that inhabit it. Located about 33 kilometers off the coast of São Paulo, Brazil, this island is inhabited by a large number of snakes and is a dangerous area that cannot be approached without a naval permit. The snakes that inhabit the island are highly venomous, with an estimated 1 to 5 venomous snakes per square meter, so you will almost certainly be bitten if you enter this island. In particular, this island is home to the world's most dangerous poisonous snake, called the golden lancehead viper, which is said to kill humans within an hour of its bite. Incidentally, these poisonous snakes are most abundant on Grande Island, where there are approximately 4,000 of them. There is a legend about this island. It is said that a pirate hid his treasure on Grande Island, and in order to protect it, he released poisonous snakes on the island. This is how Grande Island came to be called the Island of Snakes. The fourth is Ramree Island. Ramree Island is the largest island in Myanmar, and it is home to ferocious predators. The island is home to a large population of the Ili crocodile, the largest of all crocodiles. The largest of these crocodiles can grow to about 7 meters in length and weigh up to 1 ton. Incidentally, it is said that more than 1,000 Japanese soldiers were driven to the island by British troops during World War II, and were preyed upon by the crocodiles. The Japanese soldiers were surrounded by British troops, and had to pass through a swampy area where crocodiles lurked in order to join their comrades in the worst possible situation. The soldiers, faced with the choice of being attacked by the crocodiles or by the British troops, ignored the surrender advice and chose the path with the crocodiles. The exact number of Japanese soldiers attacked by crocodiles is not known, but it was such a tragedy that the Guinness Book of Records lists it as at least the worst disaster caused by an animal. Next, I would like to introduce the island of Giolla. A small island in the Gulf of Naples in Italy, Giolla was popular with the ancient Romans. Today, it is a cursed island full of ruins. All of the people who have owned this island have been struck by misfortune. The first owner was a Swiss named Hans Braun who bought the island in the 1920s and was found dead, wrapped in a carpet. Moreover, his wife, who lived with him, also died after drowning in the sea as if following him. The second owner, a German named Otto Grunbach, purchased the island and was on vacation there when he died of a sudden heart attack. The third owner suddenly suffered a psychotic break after purchasing the island and committed suicide in a mental hospital. The fourth owner was a well-known wealthy man with the title of Baron in Germany, but after purchasing the island, he was unable to manage his finances and eventually went bankrupt. The fifth owner lost his son soon after purchasing the island and adopted a nephew, who died of cancer at the young age of 33. The sixth was an oil tycoon, but after purchasing the island, his grandson was kidnapped and had to pay $3 million in ransom. And the last owner, after purchasing the island, had to chase a large debt and was eventually imprisoned for fraud. They are all unhappy, aren't they? It's hard to say it's mere coincidence when they overlap so much. Although Giolla Island is now a tourist attraction, many people fear that they might be cursed just by setting foot on the island. Next is the island of Poveglia. Poveglia is an uninhabited island near Venice, Italy. The island is located not far from Venice, also known as the water capital. The island is called the Haunted Island and has become famous as the most haunted place in the world. This is due to the many historical events that have taken place on the island. The island was originally inhabited, but the War of Kyaja the 14th century forced the inhabitants to relocate and the island became uninhabited. Around 1776 Venice was considered one of the most important trading cities in the world and was very crowded. However, in 1793, several cases of the plague were reported from 2 ships. At that time, the plague was considered incurable. The island was then used as a quarantine center for plague patients. The bones of about 160,000 people who died of the plague are said to be buried on the island. The island has since been used as an asylum for the mentally ill, but there have been a number of frightening testimonies there as well. Psychotic patients testified that they saw ghosts and heard people crying. They are mentally ill, so it may be delusions or hallucinations, but it is scary. Rumors also began to circulate that human experiments called lobotomies had been conducted at this facility. At that time, psychiatry was not yet developed, and it is said that doctors and staff conducted all kinds of experiments to find the causes of patients' illnesses. Lobotomy surgery was one of the methods used to find the cause of the patient's illness. Lobotomies were surgical treatments for mental disorders, in which the neural pathways of the brain were disconnected. There are rumors that doctors and patients at the asylum committed suicide, and it is said that the doctors became mentally deranged after years of horrific experiments and torture. The island is now off limits to the public because it is government property. The island has been put up for auction several times, but no buyers have been found to date. Next is the Farallon Islands, a dumping ground for nuclear waste. The Farallon Islands are an archipelago off the coast of San Francisco Bay, a wild kingdom where great white sharks swim around and many marine creatures gather. The islands were used as a dumping ground for U.S. radioactive nuclear waste after World War II, from 1946 to 1970. Approximately 47,000 drums of radioactive material were sunk into the sea around the island. In addition, a ship that was exposed to radiation from 2 atomic bomb tests during the war was also sunk to the bottom of the sea off the Farallon Islands because of the failure to remove the radioactivity. There was a movement to remove such radioactive materials from the sea, but the specific number and location of such materials were not clear, and even today, it is left unknown how much radioactive materials have sunk to the bottom. It is said that even just approaching the island, one may be exposed to radiation. Another place where radioactive materials are said to be even more dangerous is the Bikini Atoll, which belongs to the northwestern Hawaiian Islands. An atoll is a coral reef that forms a ring. It is a sad island that was contaminated by the US atomic and hydrogen bomb tests. The island has been contaminated by nuclear tests conducted many times, including Operation Crossword after World War II. Incidentally, radiation still remains in the area even today, and in some places the radiation level is more than 1,000 times higher than at the nuclear accident sites of Chernobyl and Fukushima. The next island is the German-fested island of Vozrozhdeniya. This island is another island that has been contaminated by experiments conducted by humans. These tests were not nuclear tests, but biological weapon tests. Vozrozhdeniya is a peninsula in the Aral Sea of Central Asia. It was the site where the Soviet Union had a large biological weapons testing laboratory. More than 40 different pathogens were tested and developed here, including anthrax, smallpox, hair disease, brucellosis, botulism, Venezuelan encephalitis, and plague. All of which were quite dangerous and lethal. These biological weapons were intended to be used in the war, but the Soviet Union seems to have withdrawn from the war without using them in actual combat. However, while conducting experiments on monkeys, the infection spread to the islanders, and from there the island became contaminated with the pathogens. In addition, there is a story that anthrax was buried in the ground to cover up the research when the Soviets withdrew. Is the contamination currently occurring around the world also an experiment? In case you are wondering, the anthrax was neutralized by a US processing team in 2002, but other products of the pathogen remain untreated to this day. Next island is the Gruinard Island. Gruinard Island, located in the north of Scotland, is an island that is heavily contaminated by anthrax due to the same biological weapons testing as before. Incidentally, this island has been called the worst island in history. During World War II, the British military began testing biological weapons on this island. Scientists brought about 80 sheep to the island and tested them with a very potent form of anthrax called Volum 14578. All of the sheep died on the day of the experiment, and the soil was contaminated. The soil was contaminated, and the creatures that were originally on the island were harmed by the contaminated soil, and almost all of them died. The anthrax remained in the soil for over 40 years. The government decontaminated the island by spreading large amounts of seawater and other contaminants to deal with the remaining spores. In 1997, the island was declared safe, but government decontamination was limited to the surface of the island, and no one knows if the underground anthrax has been removed. In most cases, anthrax lives as spores and has an extremely high survival capacity. Soaking in a toxic disinfectant or baking at 180 degrees Celsius for 2 minutes does little or nothing. And when buried underground, spores can survive for hundreds of years. How was it? You definitely don't want to go there, do you? Thank you all for watching.